Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited you could be here because today we're talking about building entrepreneurial wealth. I mean, look, it's one of the most important things that you need to know because you're not just running a business to run a business, right? You're ultimately doing this to really establish wealth, not just for your business, but for you personally. And we've got to give you the shortcuts to be able to get there. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So with us is Eric Lloyd. Now, Eric is actually a seasoned entrepreneur and trainer with a diverse background in various different industries. So he actually got his beginning in his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 16, and Eric made significant strides in commercial real estate by the age of 21. His ventures have spanned landscaping, commercial cleaning, and real estate-based firms, showcasing his ability to create effective systems that drive business performance. Now, in addition to his professional pursuits, he is an experienced trainer with a demonstrated history in the financial services industry. He possesses skills in coaching, sales, entrepreneurship, and public speaking, reflecting his commitment to personal and professional development. Now, beyond his career, Eric is also a marathon runner, a football coach, a skiing enthusiast, and enjoys quality time with his horses. He's also a dedicated father to four children, balancing his professional achievements with a rich personal life. Eric, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure. I want to meet that guy. Seems like he's kind of busy.
He seems pretty cool, right? I mean, like horses, like it's all my favorite stuff in one package. Like we're gonna be best friends. I feel this.
Awesome, awesome. No, my pleasure to be here. So thanks for having me on, Ty. Appreciate
Yeah,
being here.
I appreciate you coming on. We're talking a little bit about executive coaching to kind of get us started today because I think a lot of people, the best of the best have really strong coaches that got them there, right? And anybody that reads about the founders of Google or Facebook or anything, they see that they had them. But I think small business owners, a lot of us entrepreneurs are trying to go down this path on our own, and we're not really relying or using executive coaching. And I think it's because we just don't understand it very well. So that being said, like, give me some feedback. How is it that an entrepreneur can leverage coaching, executive coaching, to basically get closer to building, entrepreneurial wealth?
Ty, I think you hit the nail on the head because most entrepreneurs, we're very driven, we're very autonomous. We feel like we have to know it all. And the hard part is where do we go to really get the information to help us grow? Well, we can go to places like your podcast and follow information that way. But when we look at things, we really want to say, okay, when we look at coaching and what coaching is about, the idea is really to look and see and identify where you currently are and then where you ultimately want to go. And so it's like you're identifying your own GPS or roadmap. So it's like, okay, well, hey, I'm in Miami and I want to go to Tampa and I'm going to drive. Okay. It's like, so you got to have a GPS to get there. And so oftentimes what an executive coach does is hones in on the skills that you are tremendously good at and helps you to leverage those. We also help you identify maybe the skill sets that you need some team members that can help you to grow in those areas so you can maximize your time. The cool thing is we want to help you design the ultimate or architect the life that you want. And in and through that process, we use key measurables like, okay, what is your revenue doing? How is this marketing campaign performing? What's your ultimate exit strategy? How much time do you want to have in and move forward? And through a series of things like accountability and a professional network, and being able to have those key players to help you to win, that gives a little bit of a 30,000 foot view as far as what the coaching process is like for an entrepreneur.
At Wealth Factory, you really focus on helping entrepreneurs build wealth. And so, what are some of the most common financial mistakes that you're seeing that entrepreneurs typically make?
Ooh, one of the most common mistakes that are made is not having clarity on what you're wanting to accomplish. And not having clarity, it's like, okay, well, I want to grow my business by 20% this year. Or no, I want to open up 10 different other locations. I want to franchise. I want to expand quickly. It's like have clarity on what you want and then have a system that's based around you because we're all definitely unique and have our own investor DNA. But I think it's understanding where you are today. And one of the exercises that we go through, and most entrepreneurs, it's like we're all about the drive, 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 drive. And oftentimes it's very important for us to say, okay, where exactly are you right now? with everything from your estate plan. Where are you right now with your finances, with your P&L? Where are you right now with your debt? Where are you right now with everything? And we use that as a measuring stick to say, okay, this is where you are, and this is, where do you want to go? And so I think to answer that question is, one of the challenges is just understanding, having clarity on where you are right now, and then where that entrepreneur ultimately wants to go. So I would say clarity would be the biggest challenge, if you will.
Where do you think entrepreneurs struggle for this? Because, in the last 2 points, it's really about knowing where you're going. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think in life, most people are lost. Like I see this, it's kind of astonishing. And most people are just going through life and they don't even know where they're trying to get to, what their goal is. I'm a sailor, I'm a pilot. So like to not know, like to start off and not know where you're going could be like disastrous in my world. So like, why do we fail as entrepreneurs to figure this out? Why are so many people out there running businesses and it seems like they get caught in the muck of just getting things done every day and they lose sight of the direction of where they're actually trying to take the organization?
Well, the awesome thing about what you just mentioned is our mission here at Wealth Factory is to help 1 million entrepreneurs attain financial peace. And I think what happens is, as entrepreneurs, we get running so fast that sometimes we don't enjoy the present, and we don't have the clarity that we want to have in creating that abundant life. And so the idea behind that is like you can be moving forward very quickly, but also, but if you have the peace of mind knowing that you're taken care of and you've got things set up, or maybe you decided you're going to do things like cash flow banking, to where you're overfunding whole life insurance policies and you're using that as a way to fund businesses, or you're using that as a way to do different things. So there's many different strategies that we key in on, to be able to help out. So, but really at the end of the day, it's really creating that financial piece, because it's like, as entrepreneurs, we're used to sprinting, and it's like sprint, 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 sprint. But it's like we got to also enjoy the process and create that abundant life.
Yeah, and I love the idea of financial peace because I think that we all have that. It's interesting because when sometimes I'll do a podcast interview and somebody will ask me about what I think about what we've done so far, and that really trips me up because my mind is in the future. Like I live in the future. Like it's almost impossible to come to a present moment, and then it is impossible to go backwards, like to even think about where I am and what I've done. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of us entrepreneurs struggle with trying to be in the moment because we are so forward facing, looking at what's ahead. So, how do you get us grounded? Like, what do you do at Wealth Factory to get people grounded in the present?
Ooh, one of the things that we do is, we have a professional network, and that professional network is designed not only with we have executive coaches, but we call them wealth architects because we help you design the life that you want to live and create. And so in that process, so let's say one of the things that we do to help you become present is, let's say we're driving we're moving forward, and maybe we don't have a specific tax strategy to optimize the way our business is moving. Maybe we're not taking advantage of things like our R&D credits, or maybe we're looking at buying a commercial building for our business, and we need to look at cost segregation opportunities. And maybe we just get our taxes filed to get them filed, but we don't have a strategy. So one of the things that we do is we do this thing called cash flow optimization. We look at your current situation with a unique set of eyes and say, okay, well, have you considered this? Well, this expense may be moving this around over this way. You can optimize it. And some of the greatest calls that I have, or the greatest connections, and I meet with many of our clients face to face, and as I'm traveling the country, it's like, hey, implementing this strategy ended up saving me $150,000 on my taxes this last year. Or now moving forward, I know how to move and make this happen. And so it's just a matter of looking at those things. And I would say it's unique to the individual, because we go through a process and we use the team of advisors. But where we can really make a difference is where that individual entrepreneur may be having a challenge or a struggle. And that's where we can really help them architect the financial future that they want.
And I love that because I think that in a world where things are becoming more automated and more AI based, I think that you are the future, right? It's this one-on-one deep relationship that you could build to be able to lift people up and help them through the difficult process of entrepreneurship. So I absolutely love it. What are some of the other methods you're using to help your clients and entrepreneurs accomplish, and gain financial peace?
Well, and one of the cool things that we do, this is an example from this last week, and you mentioned AI, and I smile a little bit. Yes, you do have one-on-one, but what we do is we bring in different professionals. We have these weekly webinars, and we have these different interactions. And one of our more recent one was on the use of AI in your business. And I was talking with this business owner. He owns a financial firm, and he shifted into using AI for his scheduling, and he did that like 2 months ago. And across his team of 10, 10 different employees that he has, he's increased his bookings by 100%, and he's increased his close rate by 60%. And so he's massively seeing the difference. So what we do is we look at what the individual circumstances are, and we're like, hey, check this out. By learning these couple of steps, you can really enhance your business and really add value to your customers and really build the brand that you're wanting to build. And so that's where I say it's unique to the individual, and that's where it gets fun, because it's like, yeah. And for one individual, it might be a tax strategy where it's like, hey, now I have clarity. For another individual, it might be, this is a better way or a better funnel for us to be able to move forward. And sometimes it's like they may need certain things. We're like, hey, I really want to grow, but where do I go? And I need money to expand my business. And that's where we bring you and your team in to be able to help that individual accomplish those needs.
Yeah, I love that and appreciate that as well. So, how do you go through this diagnosis process? Like, there's so many things that an entrepreneur, I'm sure, has problems that they're trying to tackle. How do you triage that and figure out the things that will have the greatest impact to kind of address first?
Ooh, we have a very cool onboarding process that identifies the most important things for the individual that we're working with, the entrepreneur. And then through that process, it brings forward certain things. So we have what we call a financial scorecard. We have different things that's highly interactive, that allows you to be able to look at things. And then based on the strategies that you're wanting to implement, we do key introductions. We're like, okay, let's look at taking action here. But before you take this action, let's talk to one of our professional network tax advisors and make sure that fits for what it is that you want to do in moving forward. And so what happens is not only do we have the practical discussion about it, but we have a professional that helps to go ahead and implement it.
I love your model so much because, I learned a long time ago in the beginning stages of my entrepreneur journey that you do what you do best and you outsource the rest. And it's not even just outsourcing, it's just this idea, right? That like
Yeah.
everybody wants to do everything. And then I really love this idea that like you be a really good at what you do, and then you find partners that are really good at what they do, and then have them help your clients in those areas. Why don't why don't most entrepreneurs get this? It seems like everybody tries to take it all on and then they lose sight of what their USP is, what they're really the best at.
And I will say this, in my earlier years, Ty, in driving, I felt like I had to be the person as an entrepreneur that knew everything. And I clearly found out that I didn't know everything. And I clearly found out that having a team can really elevate your game, and having the right players in the right positions on the bus can help you really to win and accomplish your goals. Because then you have synergy, then you've got connections, then you can really, like you said, focus in on what you do best and really enhance that part of either your business or your entrepreneur life, whatever that looks like for the individual.
What are you doing to help your clients scale, but still be able to maintain financial stability. Because what I found is that everybody wants to scale, but the minute they start scaling and growing, their margins shrink, sometimes to a point where they start losing money. And then it just becomes this stressful venture where they're overwhelmed and then making less money than they would have if they just would have stayed at a level. And so many people get to that million and they try to climb to 5 or 10, and it just falls apart. So like, what do you do to help your clients not fall victim to that?
I had a call earlier this week. Well, I work with it's a couple, and they own a couple of dentist offices, practices, and things like that. And their goal is like she's the driver, and she wants to go ahead and add. She wants to have 20 new locations in the next 5 years. Okay, and he wants to grow incrementally at 10%. Okay, per year. And so they have a little bit of a like he wants to be safe and she wants to be aggressive. And the cool thing is you want to look at it, and in discussions, it's just identifying, well, if you have a one or two businesses that is found fundamentally sound and you have a system built around that that you can expand on, then you want to have key relationships or maybe key partnerships that can help you out. But making sure that you're paying attention to the fundamentals, because once you get locked in on things like your taxes, your cash flow, your income, and your expenses, and then you're all about doing the repeating or replicating that, you can grow. It's great to be aggressive on it. That's why we key so much in on the fundamentals of saying, hey, this is where you are. We want to make sure we have the fundamentals taken care of. And oftentimes as part of that, we go through an exercise. We call it cash flow optimization, where it's like I like to call it find the money. And I like to go through an entrepreneur's a financial scorecard and say, okay, well, where are we going to find money? And not that we're so focused on reducing expenses, but far too often as entrepreneurs, we rarely look back and just taking it in, and maybe every 6 months looking back and saying, how can I optimize what's taking place now? And for example, I was having a conversation with a wealth architecture member named Lisa, and Lisa had just inherited 5 properties from a family member, and that family member had not increased the rents in 20 years. And you can imagine that each one of the properties, these are all California properties, by the way, each one of the properties was underperforming by $2,000 a month. Okay. And so it's just a matter of looking in and seeing what is the like what's the optimization for that individual that's going through the process. Whether it's optimizing the real estate portfolio they have, or optimizing their business that they have, or what is it that they want to grow, and maybe there's strategic partnerships that they can connect with. And we also have a community, okay? And the community at Wealth Factory is one where you can connect with other business owners and like-minded individuals to synergize and just help and be a support to each other. One of the things that we really key in on is we start every one of our meetings and we talk about the wins. We talk about, each one of our wealth architects goes around and shares 3 or 4 wins from the previous week on how our wealth architecture members are doing and how they're implementing the strategies. And so yeah, we're forward focused as well, and in moving forward.
You talked about real estate, and I know this is something you do personally as well, and have a vast experience of doing it. Well, what do you do to help identify and capitalize on passive income opportunities? Like, what do you do to help your clients actually identify and then actually capitalize on passive income opportunities for them individually or for their business?
So some of the things that we do is, we have a webinar series, but we also have a real estate course. Okay. And that real estate course is whether you're a novice or you're a professional already. So whether you have hundreds or thousands of rental units and you want to go to the next level, or you just want to go ahead and look at your first property. The idea is look at what that investor is looking for. Are they looking for like consistent long-term revenue? I'm going to buy a property at a certain cap rate. I want multifamily. I want my depreciation. Like there's that investor. You might have an investor that says, I want to be a little bit more aggressive. I want to get into short-term rentals. and maybe they do short-term rentals where maybe the idea is to get a higher ROI on that, as long as you're taking care of your occupancy and as long as you're doing things along those lines. You may have investors that maybe are hands off and they like, hey, I'm into syndications, where you're investing more in someone else managing and doing those kinds of things. And so I think it just depends on that investor's DNA, if you will, as far as what they're interested in. But the dynamics at the end of the day is we look at their portfolio and say, okay, are you maximizing the rents? Are you maximizing your financing, which means you have the best rate and term possible? Are you in a place to where you can, you know, and what we do is we tie in the strategy based on what that individual's goals are. For example, working with Ashley in San Diego, and Ashley, she came to me as her wealth architect, and she said, "Hey, I want to increase my net cash flow by $20,000 a month." And so what we did is I looked at her current holdings, and one of her holdings was a triplex in San Diego, and she was negatively cash flowing on that property $2,500 a month. So she was feeding it out of pocket. But I just asked, and I'm like, let's look at the equity position. Well, you have $750,000 in equity that you're paying $2,500 a month to have. So what if we repurpose that and do a strategy like a 1031 exchange that allows you to go buy other investments and increase your cash flow? That's just one example. So it depends on where that individual is. And it can be anything from, hey, I'm considering real estate, to, hey, I'm very advanced and I want to use these advanced strategies.
And for those that are paying attention, like my camera just switched for a reason because my main camera just died and I went to one of my multiple. If you look at my setup, I have like cameras everywhere. So if this ever happens, I just switch. So that is exactly why I'm now looking at a different camera. And lesson of
I
entrepreneurship.
figured you were juggling a little bit, so I was just like, that was smooth.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like this is why you have five cameras. An entrepreneur, you should always know this stuff happens when you're doing like anything technical. You just hit on a point that I think is interesting. How important is the personal financial scenario to an entrepreneur successfully running a business and achieving wealth? Because it really seems like you're helping them in both areas address these personal barriers they're dealing with as well as business barriers. So you must believe that those two combine to be able to really accomplish true wealth.
Oh, yes. And in combining the two, but we also even get deeper and we ask questions about, what's your philosophy about money? What's your relationship like with money? And where does that come from? And so we actually go through this thing we call foundations, and you'll find it's very enlightening for the individual that we're working with. It's very enlightening for the wealth architect as well, because that brings forward the key um, the key targets, if you will, to focus in on, to make adjustments that really kind of open the floodgates. And it's like, wow, I didn't consider this ever. But now I'm able to move forward and make things happen. I will say this. Normally, when we have individuals start to engage in working with Wealth Factory, we ask for a year agreement, okay? And that year agreement, what we find is that the entrepreneurs that work with us, they stay with us for years and years and years, because they see the value in being able to have that wealth architect or coach that's continually helping them in moving forward. Because it's like we evolve, right? And it's like, I don't think any one of us has ever achieved the level of success and we're going to say, oh, I'm there, I'm done. And I think any entrepreneur knows that that's not a reality, where it's like, hey, I'm not done growing. I'm not done taking action. I'm not done needing a team to be able to help me move forward.
I'm interested. Where do you find that a lot of people get their relationship with money? Because like me, I'm more of a spender than a saver. Like I like cool stuff. My parents, 100% savers. Like spend nothing, save even in retirement. Like when they have a ton of money. So like I don't think I get what that from my parents. But like, what do you find? I'm interested to see like where is these relationships with money? Where does that stem from when you're drilling this down with your clients?
Ooh, and it could be just like you said, because your experience is the opposite. So you said your parents were savers and that you're great on spending.
I'm
And
great at spending.
I hope you don't mind. We were talking before this. You're like, yeah, man, you got to come hang out, and you got to. I'll take you up on my plane, and we're gonna go do this. And it's like you're living that abundant lifestyle, right? But I think we've also, experienced the opposite, where we're like, ooh, I really can't make this move as an entrepreneur because I'm really cost conscious, and it's really holding me back. And maybe we get too much in our minds, and that can come from, it can come from how we were raised. It can come from that. It can come from maybe life experiences that we've gone through, maybe a life switch. It's like life happens to all of us, and maybe that's had an impact on how we view money and what our relationship is. And so, but the idea is, at the end of the day, what we want to help you create and define is the abundant life and the abundant lifestyle that you want. Because I think freedom is something that is uniquely intimate and different for us all. For me, it's like freedom for me is I can do whatever I want, and my decisions are not based on not having money or having money. It's like my decisions are based on my values. My decisions are based on the legacy that I want to leave. And many of us, we want to leave a legacy, but we don't even know how to leave a legacy. And so that's also part of what we do in keying in on that foundations piece is, okay, what legacy are you wanting to create? And how can you influence generations moving forward, much like the Rockefellers and unlike the Vanderbilts. So the Rockefellers kept the generational wealth moving forward, Vanderbilt's couple generations and it died off. So just some different strategies that we use, but we really key in on going back to what you were talking about. It's like, where do we get that financial philosophy or relationship with money? And it's different, and that's why sometimes it's a easy conversation, and sometimes it's a more of an in-depth conversation about where that entrepreneur, how they feel about money. So that to me is fun, and that's one of the main reasons why I love being a part of Wealth Factory, because I was actually invited to become one of the wealth architects, and so one of the individuals there is like, "There's no way you'd consider this," and I'm like, "No, there's no way." But once I got to know the team and the process and the strategy, I was like, "Man, I wish I had this 25 years ago. I could have avoided so many mistakes and accelerated my process."
What are some of the ways that we haven't talked about today, or what's some of your best advice, I should ask, to achieve true wealth, to achieve, whatever our version of financial freedom is? What's some of your best tips or best tip that we haven't kind of covered in regards to this?
Mm. Um, Continual growth, um, making sure that you're in a place to where you're doing things like um, watching your podcast. Okay, make sure that you've got a team that really helps support your financial goals and your objectives. Um, Goals. Your goals have to be crystal clear. When I mean crystal clear, I'm talking about this. So we do our family retreats. It's kind of one of the things that we talk about, that we want you to employ as well, or a retreat if it's you yourself, whatever that looks like. And I was using this example. I was talking to my son, and we wanted to go to New York. Actually went to New York this last October, and I said, this is what clarity is, and this is what clarity is not. So clarity is, or here's the start of clarity. I want to go to New York. Okay. So let's say, is New York a big place? Yes. Well, then what we do is we say, okay, well, maybe we want to go to Manhattan. So Manhattan Island, okay, yeah, that's still a really big place. There's lots of places there. And I was like, maybe you want to go to Central Park. Central Park's still a really big place. But what we do on the goals, we help gain clarity. And here's what clarity is. I'm going to meet you on Tuesday at 2 p.m. in Central Park, the Bethesda Fountain on the east side. That's clarity and understanding where you want to go. Now, as entrepreneurs, we know that there are going to be roadblocks. There are going to be, we're going to get rerouted at times like that. But we want you to have clarity in the life that you want to create. So going back to your question on things, it's like, have clarity on your goals. Have a team that helps to support you. My favorite saying is, "Do one thing every day that scares you," by Eleanor Roosevelt, meaning that you're doing one thing every day to grow, that puts you in maybe in your out of your comfort zone. And I think we're used to that as entrepreneurs anyway. So a combination of those things, and just make sure that you've got a process and a team that helps you to get there. So those would be kind of like my thoughts.
Eric, we've just had time to kind of scratch the surface of your knowledge and the things that you could help us learn when it comes to achieving true financial freedom and achieving wealth, both for our business and for us personally as well. Where can everybody go that this is eye-opening and they're like, look, I want to learn more. That you are the one that's wants to put me or that's going to put me on the path to where I want to be. Where can everybody go to be able to get more information than what we've been able to dive into today?
So first off, I think that that's valuable. But one of the things that we would like to do at Wealth Factory is we'd like to provide a gift to you to get to know a little bit more about Wealth Factory and a little bit more about the process. We have a program that's called Capitalize. We charge $2,500 for it, and would like to, in honor of being able to be here on this podcast and just have our discussion with you, and in honor of you spending time to be here, would like to gift that to you. Okay. And so if you wouldn't mind grabbing a pen and paper, if you text the word wealth, 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 to 801-758-8814. Again, text the word wealth to 801-758-8814. We will send that to you immediately. And of course, we'll be able to give you some information that you can get to know a little bit more about Wealth Factory. Of course, wealthfactory.com. And thank you for just being able to talk through and share a little bit about what we do, and meet like-minded individuals that are a part of our team. We're grateful to have you part of our team, Ty.
Thanks, and grateful to be part. So Eric, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so listen, if you're watching this, pretty generous, really generous. I mean, $2,500 capitalized program that Wealth Factory is giving you for $0 just because you were here through this interview. So make sure that you text the word wealth to 801-758-8814. That's text the word wealth to 801-758-8814. This is going to get you access to the $2,500 capitalized program from Wealth Factory at zero cost. Pretty cool. Really, really, really generous of Eric to do this. And I think you've already seen and heard insights from him that you probably haven't thought of to put you on the right path to truly achieving wealth in your life. But if you want to take the next step and get a lot more information than we've even been able to cover here, then make sure you grab this $2,500 capitalized program at zero cost by texting wealth to 801. That's texting wealth to 801-758-8814. And if you get a chance, make sure you check out wealthfactory.com as well and follow them on all of their social channels. Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care. Have a great day.